This is John Zaninovich. Welcome to Move My Mass. You'll be hearing from great guests talk about balancing life and being fit. We've got a different episode of Move My Mass today. I am going to be the one interviewed. There have been a number of people that have told me as they've listened, they're like, hey, it's time for you to tell your story on your podcast, which I haven't done yet. So that's what we're going to do today. I have my friend Scott Daniel, who has been on the podcast already. He's going to do the interviewing. So let's get to it. Looking forward to it.
All right. Thanks for having us back on, John. And I'm going to put my glasses on so I can read my notes here. I'm not a full-time interviewer, so I thought we'd start off like you normally do with all your guests and find out a little bit about the background behind John Zaninovich and what you've done. Obviously, you're an accomplished athlete. You've done a lot there. You're a businessman, entrepreneur, started several businesses, obviously started the podcast. But why don't we start off with the athletics? I know we met at 14 years old on the side of a pool deck playing water polo. And water polo is probably one of our first loves. Why don't you take it from there and tell the crowd about where you've been, what you've done?
Yeah, water polo and swimming are obviously a huge part of where I'm at today and what I enjoy doing today. Swimming is still it's still my favorite form of exercise. But to go back to the beginning, 14, never competitively swam before or played water polo, but just walked out to the high school team and said, hey, let's do this. Fell in love with it immediately. Not the swimming. Swimming.
None of us did.
We all swim to stay in shape for water polo. But water polo, man, that's what a fun sport.
Wouldn't you love today if we could get in the pool and play today? I would play today. I'd play every week if we could today.
And there are places we can do that.
Not around here, though.
Right. There, yes, it would be fun. And it's such a different type of swimming. Every once in a while, when I do get in the pool, some guys will be playing.
Yep.
And like everybody knows, and whether it's running, cycling, swimming, to go out and swim, endurance versus the high-speed sprints of water polo game, that's a whole nother level of shape. And yeah, for sure, that'd be nice to get back to.
So you were a 3-sport athlete in high school. We did water polo, basketball, swam all the way through. Had a lot of success there. And then you were fortunate enough, because of your skill level, you played some college water polo. Tell us about that.
Yeah. Just got lucky that I was a big fish in a small pond in high school like you were. Our natural talent got us through high school.
Yeah.
We didn't really have like a specific, we had a water polo coach.
Sure.
But in our day, they just took one of the teachers and said, hey, go get these kids together and get them through it. So we were never coached, but yeah, so by luck of just being a bigger kid and probably having a strong arm, it just got me to that level. And then quickly got into college and, they liked me and all that, but it's just a whole nother level of competitiveness. And it went from being really fun, and I'm competitive.
Yeah.
So that was not a worry in high school or college. But once I got there, it was turned into a job.
Yeah.
And then even though I played, it wasn't something that I stuck with. But still, it's obviously a very fond memory.
Well, your next big athletic move was obviously where you had the most success was our sand volleyball. Remember that? I know we won a couple tournaments. I know we did.
That's one thing I'll say about myself, and got to say it about you too, because you've been through all of it with me, is if somebody's got a sport we can go try, we're probably going to go try it. Now that was fun. Now that
was a blast.
Along with what, especially when you have an apartment, when you're in college and you're living in an apartment and your volleyball court is right outside your deck.
right outside our back balcony. We're not about, I guess we were on the ground floor, but we would
Yes.
hop the fence. We'd be barbecuing, hop the fence, go out and play a couple sets, and then come back in and have dinner.
Yeah, it
Yeah.
wasn't the best for studies.
No, it wasn't. But it was
Good times.
big fun.
Good
Yeah.
times.
Yeah. So I think through one of the themes running through all of your athletics is something we talk about is we've got challenge issues. And
Yes.
I think that somewhere along there we finished college and probably got our careers going. But how did you get into triathlon, and how did that become something that you were interested in?
So that's an interesting question. And I remember the day specifically, I was sitting on my couch. It was, it was the early days of my career, just got out of college, working long hours, went from being in shape during college to, okay, now I'm working full time, crazy hours, let myself get out of shape. And sitting on the couch one day watching TV, I'm like, okay, this is enough. It's straight up enough. And of course I've ran here and there a little bit, but I'm just going to go for a run. Didn't want to. Yeah, I didn't even own a bike at that time. Couldn't go for a swim, obviously. But I'm just going to go for a run. I'm just going to go out the door.
Right.
And you know what? All right, you know what? This is a good workout. And it just kind of carried on and did a little more running. Got a bike, not for the intention of ever doing a triathlon. I just did it I've got to figure out a way to knock some fat off my body.
Sure.
Get back in shape.
Because running hurts. It hurts
Oh,
bad.
yeah, it did. Hurt from then, still does. There's only one reason I run today is either this is a very efficient way to get some calories burned, or I got a triathlon to train for.
Yep.
And during that time, so it just led from one thing to, so I bought a bike, started biking. Always dabbled in weights forever. I mean, since high school, we've done that. And
Right.
we're still doing that, but I was always of the impression at that time, I only lifted, heart rate never got up, lifted a little bit, got the pump,
Right.
enjoyed lifting. But then, so to get back to it, just one thing led to another. And then I've always loved swimming. I'm like, okay, I just want to add something else to the mix because I don't want to run again today. I'm going to go swim. Started swimming. And then, of course, talking to you were, and it's kind of funny because this happened without you and I even talking about it. You were already training for a triathlon.
Sure.
And I was doing this. This is before cell phones. It's not like we were talking every day,
Right.
texting every day. And so it kind of, that sounds like a hell of a plan.
Yeah.
And so it just evolved from there.
Yeah. So I think we took things you really loved, which was the swimming, and threw in the biking, which you really picked up really well, and then kind of suffered through the running to get through some of these early triathlons we did. And fast forward, you got all the way to Ironman level.
Right.
How did you? Because Move My Mass is all about balance in training. Tell the listeners out there. I mean, you've done multiple Ironmans, trained multiple years for Ironmans. Very successful CEO of a very large, probably one of the largest grape growing family businesses here in California. How did you balance that? And maybe we should back up a second, but how did you get into Ironmans? And then how did you balance the training for that?
So getting into Ironman is also your fault.
That's probably true.
Indirectly. At that point, we were doing 2 or 3 triathlons a year, Olympic distance, which, if nobody knows what Olympic distance is, it's pretty much the quarter of a distance. It's 0.9 mile swim, 24, 25 mile bike, and a 10K run. We were doing those 2 or 3 year-ish.
Yep.
And then I'll never forget, we were in Lodi doing a triathlon, and we walked by a sign-up table. It had all these flyers out there, and they had a flyer out there for a half Ironman. And you pointed to it. You said, we should do one of those someday.
Yeah.
And in my head, I didn't say it out loud, but in my head, I said, there's no way in hell I'm doing a half Ironman.
I wish you would have stuck to that.
Right. So, of course, what happens is just keep doing Olympic distance triathlon, and then you will just want to do the next thing. So natural evolution to go to the half. And then a couple of those. Well, now you can feel that it's possible. Even though still have to do a lot more training to go do a full Ironman. But once you've done a half, now you can taste it.
Yeah.
So that's what happened.
That's probably important for a lot of your listeners who maybe are thinking about going further, right? Challenging themselves, setting that big goal, like Kerry Ryan talked about, setting really big goals. And that's what we did, or that's what you've done, is set really big goals. But that incrementalism, if you can do an Olympic, you can do a half. And if you can do a half, you can do a whole. You really can.
Yes.
So you're just biting off a little bit at a time.
And to answer your question about balance, there's no more balance when you go into a full. And I couldn't find that balance anyway.
Yeah.
I thought I was when I'm in it. I thought I was, but for a half Ironman, I kept everything balanced.
Yeah.
I kept everything in check and doing everything I was supposed to do. And for most of the full Ironman training, I also kept it in check, but you start getting into those heavy build weeks where you're just training a lot.
Sure.
The balance doesn't
Well, we've
happen.
talked about this, and when your Saturday ride's a 6 or 7 hour ride, or 8 hour ride, it's hard to be balanced at that time. But obviously, successfully, you did it. You kept your business alive, and you got great children, and the balance is all there. So
yeah, and before I even did my first one, I asked my family, "Hey, this is what I'm thinking about doing. This is how much time it's going to take. Are you guys on board?" And you know what? What was nice was not only were they on board, but they really encouraged me, and they were happy for me to go do it. So that I tried to do everything I could going into it to keep everything in check.
you think that obviously the physical training is really hard when you're working out at that level. But I've come to listen to all of your guests, and it seems like the mental side, a lot of people talk about that. And looking back now, I know you and we've both said that just because we've done Ironman level, we probably can do things today that we're not physically ready for, but the mental kicks in and we can get it done. So that mental aspect, are there a lot of benefits you think from that training?
No doubt. And the answer is kind of mixed. So part of it is the challenge issues, but the other part is I need that part of my day. And I would say it's all three of them really. And it happens with me during weight training also, but mainly during endurance training, it clears my mind.
Yeah.
And not only clears my mind, but it also just lets ideas free flow. It's like I've gotten more ideas in business or just sometimes I wish I had a notepad while I'm running or writing. I'm like, oh my gosh, I got to write this down. Or I'm worried because I'm like, I'm not going to remember this when I get back to, and I'm sure there's technology out there that, hey, just take your phone, John, and you can get a verbal note. But it flows mentally. I flow so nicely when I'm working out, and I'm sure that's the case for a lot of people.
Is that what they call runner's high? I mean, it's kind of, maybe it means different things to different people.
Never hit one of those.
I have to say, I've never been in a runner's high. I'm always acutely aware of the pain when I'm running. But on bikes, like you say, we were talking about it before we started today. I want to go out for that 3 or 4 hour ride where you just kind of get lost in the thoughts and you forget about everything but the rhythmic, methodical training, sweating, and your mind goes to places that thoughts develop and they just bubble to the top.
For sure. And that's why I quit riding with music. For a number of years, I always had music on.
Yeah.
But for a couple of reasons. One, I found myself getting lost into the rhythm. A good song came on with a good beat. And so during Ironman training, the rides were very specific. You go for a 5-hour ride, you're supposed to ride at an hour at a warm-up pace, whatever, or then you ride at an hour at steady state. You're supposed to do certain things.
Yeah.
Well, when I have music on, sometimes I get lost in the music, and then I'm like, oh man, I just screwed my work. Didn't screw the workout up, but I didn't follow the directions of the workout. So that was one reason I quit. But the other reason is without music, it's so incredible
Right.
It's rare. It's very, very rare I ever focus on the negative aspects of what's happening in my life during a workout.
Yeah.
It's almost always 99.9% of the time, it's always just like a flood of, and it's not like energy high or anything. It's just, my gosh, the thoughts are just thoughts and ideas and positivity is just flowing through them. Maybe that is what the high is. I don't know, but it's the thoughts are amazing.
It's at least one of the reasons I train like that. And it's why we love endurance. Right?
Yes.
We may be getting off track here, so we probably got to bring it back around. But before we go, I think we ought to talk about mountain biking. And how many broken bones do we have? Do you have from mountain biking?
Okay.
I just want to make sure we get that on the record.
Technically, 0. It's a separation of the shoulder.
Separation.
Yes.
Separated shoulder. Okay. All right.
Yeah, that one hurt.
We've done multiple with some group of friends of ours that go on these trips. We've done multiple overnight mountain bike rides at different places, some great locations, and it's been really fun. But I remember the most recent one or the last one you got hurt on was in Nevada, and in the hospital at the end of that one. That was not fun.
Yeah, that one hurt. That was the only crash that's ever really hurt.
Yeah. Okay.
But hey, we got
I just had to
through
point
it.
that out.
We got through it.
Oh, that's fun. So let's talk a little bit about the podcast. Why we're here today. Is this a nutrition podcast, a workout podcast, mental health, life hack? What do you want the listeners out there to get from this podcast?
And just nutshell, I want people to realize you can have fun, stay in shape at the same time, get in shape. You don't have to go crazy. You don't have to kill yourself. You don't have to lose yourself. You can live life and get in shape at the same time. And I know when the switch flipped for me, realizing that was all the Ironman races, 2 Ironman races, training for those, racing those. After the second one, I'm like, all right, this is what it's like to go this far, to push yourself. And when I say that, I'm not saying Ironman's the hardest thing out there to do. There's tons of other harder things to do. But Ironman distance racing is definitely an event that takes all you've got.
It's serious.
You can't fake it.
Right.
You have to be in shape to do it.
Right.
So that one really, like, man, John, you can go do, okay, so you think back, training for other things, whether it's a Olympic distance or any other thing, it's like, okay, did I have to take that so serious? So it really, even though it's been so many years since my last one, I've been trying to find my way ever since. It's been 7 years since my last one.
Mm-hmm.
I've been trying to find my way on, what do I do next? I know I'm like, well, that itch is always there a little bit, but right. I doubt if I ever do another one. But yeah, so that's what I want the listeners out there, that maybe they're just a beginner in fitness, or maybe they are that intermediate athlete, even a good athlete. And for those out there that are taking it super serious, have at it.
Right. Enjoy
it, because I certainly enjoy it when I take things serious like that. But I just want this to be an avenue for people that, man, because, if you listen to a lot of fitness podcasts or follow them on Instagram or Facebook, there are so many hardcore influencers out there, because they are the perfect picture of health, or what we all think of it.
Right.
8-pack abs.
Right.
Or she's got super toned muscles, and which is awesome. I mean, hats off to those athletes and fitness gurus that are pulling that off. But I just want to give listeners and watchers another chance to say, all right, he's pretty darn fit, and man, he just posted last night he's having dinner with his friends, and so I just want people to know there's balance.
Yeah, I think that's a great answer. And I think not to put words in your mouth, but you've been through the wars. And if I think back through our time together, I mean, we have, I remember following Russian workouts. Remember the Russian workout theories that we'd go to, with Bulgarian workouts. Yes. We would go to the gym twice a day, or sometimes 3 times a day.
Right.
And we did weird things like that. We took every protein powder we could find. We made sure we ate 8 times a day. We've done a lot of different things. I remember in our college apartments, we had Muscle and Fitness magazine, and we would study them like crazy.
Oh, yeah.
We've gone deep into everything that we've ever tried. But I think maybe the lesson you're trying to help people with is that at the end of the day is that we didn't have to do that to have fun or get the results that we needed.
That's right. We would have We could have taken it more lightly and gotten the same results.
Yeah.
And please, listeners, I'm not saying, like, for instance, right now, I have a goal out there publicly that I want to get down to 17% body fat.
Yeah.
All it is a goal. 17% is just random. It's just a point that
Sure.
I want to see if I can get to. And right now my scale says I'm around 22%. Who knows what I really am, but I'm just using a scale.
Sure.
I know if I'm going up or down. At some point, I don't know, that last 1.5% probably, I'm going to have to get real serious for a certain amount of time.
Sure.
But I put that goal out there for me. However, when I do get to that point where I'm having to take it that serious, I will remember, hey, this isn't what makes you.
Yeah.
You're doing this for fun. You're doing this to stay healthy. So I'll keep it in check. But right now, easy weight's coming off. And I'm going to appreciate that's what it is. It's the easy weight that's coming off right now. I'm not going to act like right now that I'm trying to lose that last 1.5%.
Right. It's going to come.
Right.
So John, you've had quite a few guests on already, and your listenership, I don't know if that's a word, and but I'm an Okie. So you're getting a lot of different people on the show, and I'm gleaning, and your listeners are gleaning different things from different people. You've had some real athletes on, you've had some business leaders on. What is it you think you might have been surprised that you've heard from the various people you've had on so far?
I don't know if it's a surprise, but one thing that I am catching from everybody is the mental aspect of all of it.
Yeah.
And it can be both. It can be, well, in the end, it's how mentally tough things can be. Whether if you're not working out, it's mentally tough on you. If you go for the serious, like Kerry Ryan, Race Across America, at some point, most riders will mentally break. And they pull out of it, of course, but at some point they snap. Yeah. I don't want the listener that might be listening saying, man, how do I get fit? Like, well, hell, I'm staying away from everything now if this mental thing's so tough. But I think the biggest thing I got out of it is how mentally tough it is on people when they can't work out.
Yeah.
Especially if you're used to it.
That's a good point.
It's like, man, if I'm not consistently working out, things aren't mentally good for me. So that's what I'm really gathering.
I've worried about that too. As an athlete, I'll be the first to admit that I've got a lot of mental issues like everyone does. And I think that's the one thing I've gotten from your podcast is a lot of people are admitting that, hey, working out and being fit helps them with their mental health, helps them get through things.
No doubt.
Yeah.
Now for me, like if I'm angry about something or upset, I don't necessarily want to go work out through it. I just want to have that. I'm not saying that's a good thing. I'm just saying that's how I am.
I want to wallow in it.
Now, if I'm stressed about something,
yeah,
which is bad also, if my anxiety is high or something, yes, now I want to go work out.
Right.
I want to, I don't know why I'm wired like that. I don't know. But
well,
that's how I'm wired.
I think a lot of the people you've had on, and probably in the future too, maybe there's a correlation between athletics and athletes are self-medicating because I think a lot of us could be on drugs. I mean, there's plenty of doctors that could say, hey, Scott, you've got a lot of anxiety. You should take this drug. And I don't buy into that because I self-medicate. I get up first thing and I work out and it calms me a little bit and it lets me approach my day.
Yeah.
So I think that's been a surprising thing for me. To all of your guests have talked about it. Just proves that life's tough. Life's hard out there, and everyone's looking for a way to get through it.
Yes, and speaking of getting through it, that is one of my favorite things about doing something as tough as an Ironman race. Mm-hmm. I didn't know before in the first one, I didn't know how hard it would get. Knew it would get hard, but then after I did it, I couldn't wait for that. There's going to be a dark hole I go into at some point in this race. I was looking forward to that. Because I knew that I had what it takes to come out of it.
Right.
But you're going to enter that dark spot. And sure. I like that.
Yeah. That's why you have challenge issues.
Yes. Yes.
Well, I think that athletics teach you mental strength. And like we were talking earlier, it really has helped me in business. When things go wrong, I can say, okay, I've been here before. I've done this. I know how to get through this. And maybe everyone gets that if they're a business leader. But somehow I think that Ironman toughness or that toughness from that long run or it applies. It definitely applies. It crosses over and helps me get through things.
Oh, no doubt. No doubt.
And we talk about it today. You may not be you're not in shape to go for a 2-hour ride or a 3-hour ride, but you can do it. You just know it's going to hurt.
Oh, no doubt.
Whereas back before we did that type of training, you may not have the confidence in yourself. You say, oh, I could never do that. But once you go beyond, then it's easy to come back, even though if you're not in shape for it.
Right. And what's getting hard for me right now is, our friend Sam Ames, who puts on the Rock Cobbler race, which is incredibly hard. It's a race that is around the 85-mile mark, maybe 90, but it climbs every hill east of Bakersfield. It's in dirt. Extremely tough race. Last time I did it what athletes call doing it off the couch.
Right.
I wasn't really in shape, but obviously I was. I did it and got through it.
Yeah.
So, obviously I was fit. Literally couldn't go do it now. Now, even if I said I'm going to go ride that race, I wouldn't finish it.
Sure.
So, yeah, for me, I want to be somewhere kind of in between that. Like, yeah, I'd like to be able to go do that race. So it'd be nice to kick it up a notch.
Yep. So I know you have a lot of people lined up in the next months to come on the show, but let me back up a minute. Was this podcast easy to get off the ground for you? Because I imagine you had to learn how to tape and how to edit and produce. It's not easy just to start a podcast.
Thank you, Aaron Hemingway. Yeah, thank you. He saved me, or this.
Perfect.
It had to be him or somebody like him to get it. Yeah. So that part, technology, which it's not like it's that hard, but I just don't do any of this. So yeah, that was hard. I wanted it to sound right, wanted it to look right.
Yeah.
So yeah, I took my time researching microphones and cameras and all that, but then the editing and all that, so far beyond what I can do. So I don't do it.
Sure. But thank you for having the idea to put this together and get it out there to the world and allow us to listen in. Because again, like I said, there hasn't been a single time where I haven't gained something from each listener or each interview person. It's been great. But one of the last questions here, and then we can kind of start wrapping it up. But what is success for Move My Mass? What is successful? You're up and running. You've got people watching and listening. Where do you want this to go?
I think as long as I'm getting positive feedback from listeners and new listeners about that they're inspired by it, because I get that all the time. Mm-hmm. Even before I started the podcast, just my Instagram page, Move My Mass, which is where this all started, was just to post fun stuff.
Sure.
To let people see, repeat myself. Hey, look at this guy. He's having fun while he's getting fit.
Right.
But it's amazing how many people text me or call and say, hey, I literally worked out this morning because I saw you work out. That's and cool. If that continues, that's the goal.
Yeah.
For people out there to do that. I'm not
just a little source of inspiration for
oh my gosh. Yeah. Because it's so important to me to stay healthy and fit.
Yeah.
And even during this podcast, as we're talking, I'm realizing how much of the mental game it plays.
Yeah.
So obviously I want people to be happy.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of happiness can come through being physically fit.
Mm-hmm. I think a lot of us are trying to balance ambition in life and trying to achieve things with our physical limitations, with our family limitations, the time we've got. And I think this can be a great avenue for all of us listeners to hear how he did it, how Miley did it, how Action Sports and those guys do it. I mean, success leaves clues in life. And so if you hear how other people are doing it and how they're getting done, Carrie and Sam and all the guys at Action Sports, that's huge too.
Well, and I want it to be just like when I was talking to Anna on here, the self-empowerment books and business books that I read, I don't read those to, how do I do this? I'm going to read this book so I can learn how to do X, Y, Z. No, I read it just to keep that positivity flowing in, just to keep it coming at me.
Right.
I want to read about other people that are working hard and succeeding, and not just financially, but just they're getting things done. I like that. I respect people that do it. You fail at something, but you've tried. I've got respect for you.
Yeah.
And I want to provide that for people. I want people to listen and say, there it is, man. I got my dose today. And a big key to it all is people that are doing different things in life coming on here and showing that it can be done no matter what your job is, no matter what your situation is. You can find a way to work some fitness into your life.
Yeah.
And it will benefit you.
That's awesome. And I think the different ways of doing things too, because you can do an Ironman on 20 hours a week of training, or you can do an Ironman on 10 hours of training.
Right.
And just depends on the person and what they've got available to throw at it, and they can get it done. And I think that's another great theme of what you're doing.
Yeah, it totally is. It's funny you say that about it, because that itch is always there to do another Ironman.
Mm-hmm.
I doubt if I do one, but if I did, I think it would be a challenge I put out there to myself, and I'd probably make it public and say, okay, here's going to be my approach on this one. I don't even know what that is.
Sure.
It's not like I thought it through that far, but I know how it gets out of hand. I know those roads not to take, and it'd be interesting to see if it could be done.
Well, I think it's I know you, I know me. We're gonna sign up for something big soon, and we get past COVID and things start opening up again. We feel like we've got a freer lifestyle again. I bet we go do something big again.
Oh yeah, we will.
The small stuff is always there. We're always training, but there'll be something we decide we need to go do something.
And we will. That we will.
Yeah, that we will. Last question for you really is, last week was the Super Bowl. Everyone was talking about the GOAT, Tom Brady being the GOAT. If you had an opportunity to interview someone here on your program, I'm going to give you a couple choices of people that I'd consider a GOAT in our sports that we really like. So if you could bring on Lance Armstrong, I think he's the GOAT in cycling, even triathlon was really great there, or Michael Phelps. So Lance Armstrong or Michael Phelps, who would you have on?
Michael Phelps.
Okay.
Why would I have Michael Phelps? I just
Why not?
answered that. Right. I mean, he's amazing.
Yeah.
I just think the only reason I would choose him over Lance really is that way I wouldn't have to worry about talking all the controversy and things like that.
Absolutely
gone on with Lance.
Yeah. And Lance has been interviewed a million times, bunch of different ways.
Trust me, Lance says he wants to come on, he's on. And I would, I
true.
still think he's the greatest cyclist ever, but I just wouldn't want to have that conversation.
Yeah.
And
no,
with
absolutely.
I don't know. Does Michael have anything going on out there that's not right? But I don't know.
Everybody does, right?
Right. But, and then know that the listeners would be wondering, okay, when's he going to get to that part with Lance? And I wouldn't even want to. I wouldn't even want to talk about it. I just want to talk about how hard he worked. And
absolutely.
What it felt like to get through it all.
You'd want to focus on the strengths of the man and not those other things.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. No, that's great. Yeah. So I tell you what, I mean, feel like I have anything else you want to add?
No, I truly want to be an inspiration.
Yep.
Want to have fun. I'm looking forward to, as I get in better shape again, how I continue to provide inspiration. Because I know that I have the tendency to get out of check.
Mm-hmm.
Like, just, okay. And maybe I will. Maybe I will fall, go off the rails and do something crazy and lose balance. But yeah, so looking forward to that, seeing how things progress. And
yeah, balance is for you something for two guys standing here with challenge issues. Balance for us is important in every aspect of our lives, right?
Well, here's it in a nutshell. You and I are going out to dinner after this.
Mm-hmm.
When I'm crazy mode, we would go out to dinner, but all right, I'm going to have iced tea. I'm going to be stressed over what's on the menu.
Sure.
Because there's nothing healthy enough on there for me to eat. So I'm going to stress about it. Not tonight.
Yeah.
Not tonight.
Not going to
I'm
worry
gonna
about
have
it tonight.
whatever I want on there.
Sure.
But saying that, of course, I keep myself in check. But Super Bowl, I didn't keep myself in check.
Right.
Super Bowl, I think I ate everything in the house
Sure.
and drank it too. Did it worry?
Yeah.
It's-
So balance means different things to different people, but
I'm like, I'll get back at it tomorrow. And I'm not going to go, and I'm also not going to flip all the way to the other side the next day.
Yeah.
I'm not going to starve myself and go for some 5-hour ride to try to burn off those. No, all I did the next day was get back to normal.
well, maybe it comes with age, but balance probably becomes we've been on the extreme of everything. We've hired coaches, we've followed plans, we've done things, we've followed workouts, we've followed diets, we've done it all. And I think you're probably saying now that the 80% method, it probably works just as good. And you get a lot of mileage and you're fit and you look great with your clothes on. And, there's balance to it.
Right. And it's like you said, part of life, somebody asked me, why did you decide to do an Ironman while you're running a business and you had a young family? Why'd you do it then? And really the answer is that's when it naturally works into your life.
Right.
You're at that age where you can do it. It's not like I can't do it now, but it was more of a natural roll into it.
Sure.
Because you're building your fitness, and that's when it hit.
Yeah.
And I could have easily said, put this off, wait for my family to be older, which I think a lot of people do.
Sure.
I didn't choose that. I chose, this is the time. If I'm going to do it, it's now.
Yeah. And I think people might get the wrong impression, since you and I've been on twice now. We've talked about how hard and grueling and bad it was. That's not the case at all. We did it and we loved every minute of it.
Oh yeah.
And I think everyone out there who's listening should do really big things. And I want them to go for big goals. They should set huge momentous goals and go for them and achieve them. But they can be done in a realistic manner also. And again, I might have said this before, there's no such thing as work-life balance. You're out of balance one way for a while, then you're out of balance the other way.
Right.
And so I think it's great to just talk about it.
Yeah.
You're going to have it.
Yep. And I think if you're able to talk about it and realize it's happening, that means you're right. That means your head's in the right spot.
Yeah. Just acknowledging it.
Right.
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you what, thank you for letting me come on today and ask you some questions. I can't thank you as far as all the listeners too. We're all really excited to see who's on next. And we know it's hard. We know it's another job for you to be lining up these guests each week and finding them and finding time in your schedule to bring people in and talk to them. But I think it matters, and we appreciate it.
All right.
So, good luck.
Thank you for doing this.
Thank you.